Get this start. So you're the youngest fighter I've ever interviewed, being only 18. I want you to tell me, what are your future plans for the sport?
Okay. My future plans, obviously, I just want to make my living doing anything martial arts related, whether that's fighting, running a gym, being part of just martial arts in general. I just love training. It doesn't feel like a job to me. So if I can make money just going and doing something I like, I feel like it's a cheat code, honestly.
What originally gave you that passion to get into MMA?
Funny story. Originally, it was what's it called? My first ever sport was cardio kickboxing,
Mhm.
right? So I joined it to like help self-defense and stuff like that. Because I used to get like picked on in middle school and stuff because I was like the only kid with like a mustache and everything. So I got made fun of a lot. So cardio kickboxing was my first sport. But my first real sport was wrestling in eighth grade. And my friend Ivan Bowen, he helped me get in. He gave me a flyer. He said that I should come in and join it with him, man. Rest is history.
Mhm. So what would you describe your style as?
My style, I'd say definitely grappler, wrestler, but uh, I'd say whatever the situation calls for is what I'll fight like. So if I'm gonna have a really tough grappler that has zero striking, I'm just gonna sprawl and brawl right on them. But
Mhm.
if I had the choice between grappling or striking, definitely I love grappling a lot more.
Mhm. Your first fight was at Dan Hendo's fight night. Can you
Yes,
describe
sir.
that
Yeah,
experience?
it was crazy. It was really nice. Everybody in the crowd, most of them I recognized. I trained with them and everything. Um, Walking out, it was amazing. They didn't get my song wrong. They got my brother's song wrong. Um, and like it's crazy because it was like the first competition where I didn't like really feel any nerves at all. The week before, like 2 weeks before, obviously I felt like nerves and butterflies in my stomach every time I thought about it. But like day of competition, I didn't feel nervous. I was just like ready to just get in there and get it done.
I mean,
So
were
that
you
was
nervous a
nice.
little bit that you were fighting such a, like, I think he was 30, right? It was very
I think it was
much
something like
older than
that,
you.
30, 33. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that part of it does not make me nervous because um everybody, like most of the people I compete against, everybody I train with is like that much older than me.
Mhm.
I think I had my first jiu-jitsu tournament when I was like right about to turn 17. Like I was like 16 and 10 months. I did an adult division, so I went against adults. When I was 17, I was doing adult divisions in jiu-jitsu just because like, dude, jiu-jitsu tournaments, there's like barely any teens like in the divisions. I'm not gonna like pay $90 to register and then only have one match. It wasn't worth it. So I'm like, all
Mhm.
right, I'm gonna go fight with the big boys. So
Yeah.
it's not something that I wasn't used to. I'm less nervous going against adults than other kids. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's how it should be. It's going to give you more success later on for sure.
Yeah.
You train at a very reputable gym. Who are you training with on a regular basis?
On a regular basis, well, Mondays and Wednesdays, that's when Joe Stevenson, he's coaching. He does the jujitsu classes, which I should be going to more often, but he does it in the gi. So, you know me, I'm a no gi boy. So,
Mhm.
I trained with him. I trained with my coach Anthony Paredes, also jujitsu coach. He was in my corner in my pancration fight and in my debut last Saturday. And just like all the guys that I trained with, Jefferson Creighton, he has helped me a lot with my wrestling and like cage work and just overall MMA. Me and him always get work together. He's a professional fighter and he coaches our cage wrestling class. My Muay Thai coach, Tarek Safadine, also used to be in the UFC. Really nice coach, really nice guy. Um, those are like the guys that I train with on the daily basis.
Mhm. And going back to the fight, what was your mentality and like emotions that you were feeling going into it and after?
Okay. My mentality. Well, basically, I just like me and my brother were both competing that same day. My brother was the first fight of the night. He came up short, lost by submission against a really good kid. So I was just like trying to go in there and like redeem our name, you know,
Mhm.
trying to like represent. I was just excited to get in there, but my mom was also watching, and she also like was scared of all the MMA and stuff like that. In my pancreation fight, she was just like screaming the whole time, like out of nerves. Even when I was in like a winning position, she doesn't even like know the winning position and the losing position, so she's just screaming the whole time.
Mhm.
So to go in there, I just wanted to make it look flawless, and it did. Thank God. Because if I won, but like say I got like hurt or got cut, I know she would have been like, "See, this is why it's a dangerous sport." She still
Mhm.
every now and then she sends me a video on Instagram of like Chris Weidman breaking his leg. She's like, "Don't do
Yeah.
this sport." I'm like, "Too late now. I've wasted 3 years doing it, so there's no going back now."
Mhm. That's funny. So, do you have any ideal organizations that you want to go into? Like the first
Um,
organization?
like professional or amateur?
Both. Do you have a kind of like a roadmap in your head?
I have like a basic roadmap, like of however many fights amateur and however many fights pro, but specific organizations that's not in my map at the moment. I know I want to end up in the UFC, but I don't know if I want to immediately go, like, say I go pro and have a few like fights at the regional scene. I don't know if the UFC is like the first organization I want to immediately jump into. That also depends on what my age would be. I want to get in there around like 24, 25. That would be a good age, I believe, in the UFC, but I don't
Mhm.
think I want to be in there too early. I want to have my prime happen in the UFC. I don't want to
Mhm.
enter at a super young age, but then again, that's like really hard to tell because like it all depends on circumstance. I feel like
Yeah. Who's your inspiration?
it's for okay. You know this, bro. You know it.
Yes.
Um, I'd say Khabib definitely. I look up to him a lot, just not just in the sport, but outside of the sport. He sets a really good example.
Of
Um,
course, yeah.
I just try to take bits and pieces from him and try to just kind of like follow the like similar footsteps. I'd say yeah, that's my inspiration. I'd say
Yes, same thing for me. I love Habib.
I still
What's your
have that
training?
postcard you sent me.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have a couple of those cards back here too.
Yeah. I have the Islam Makhachev one, that Khabib one. I gave it to my cousin because that's the one
Mhm.
ended up choosing. So now he has it all the way in Iraq. So you're international, bro.
Yeah, let's go. What's your training regimen like?
Training regimen, like what practices I do every day, like how my practice looks like.
Yeah, yeah, just your training routine on a day-to-day basis.
Um, I train about 2 hours, maybe a little bit more each day. My minimum is definitely at least like I try to go to at least two classes, which are each an hour. Um, some days I'm doing more grappling than others. Some days I'm doing more striking. But sometimes I also try to go in the morning uh, as much as I can. So whenever I could like get a ride to practice from one of my teammates, I'll go to the because we have the pro practices in the mornings at 10 from
Mhm.
10:30 to 12. I try to go to the Tuesday one as much as I can because that's the grappling day. So that's like the only day I could really hang out with the pros and not get
Mhm.
my head smashed in. I go to that one. And then I usually it's pretty much like that. Yeah. So like Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's a lot more grappling because that's the days that we go live in jiu-jitsu. Thursdays, sometimes if I don't do grappling, we have live sparring from Muay Thai. And Wednesdays are amateur team practice day. So that's when the amateurs come up after practices are over and we do sparring. Same with Saturday. Saturday we have an open mat for sparring and an open mat for jiu-jitsu. So I'm just pretty much just doing classes that are on our gym schedule, training with
Yeah.
everybody. No special classes.
Mhm. Did you have a specific diet around fight time?
Diet,
Yeah.
whatever my mom be cooking. I try to avoid some specific stuff because like I don't really know how to measure calories for like home cooked foods, especially like Arab food. So like specific foods, I just try to like keep my protein high. I try to keep my overall calories like lower. I try to eat like more foods that are like better overall. Like I'm not gonna spend 300 calories on a cookie when I
Mhm.
have a fight coming up because like that's wasted calories. I feel like.
Do you cut weight?
Uh, for this fight, I only cut like 4 or 5 pounds. I was pretty much
Mhm.
160 the week of the fight, and I only cut like 4 pounds for the fight. I don't like cutting weight. I've never really cut weight, even in wrestling. I didn't know how to cut weight. I just stopped eating dinner, and that's how I made weight.
Mhm.
But I don't really want to even be cutting that much weight as a professional. Like more than 15 pounds, I don't think I'm going to be doing anything like that.
Yeah, I
'Cause
agree.
yeah.
Who's your favorite active UFC fighter right now?
Favorite active UFC fighter. Hmm. Well, there's no point thinking I already know the answer, but I'd say definitely Islam Makhachev. That's my
Yeah.
boy.
Mhm.
But if I didn't have to choose him, because that's like the cheating obvious answer, I'm a big fan of a lot of guys. I like Peter Yan. I like Dustin Poirier. I like Charles Oliveira just because of his fight style is amazing and his like
Mhm.
backstory. I mean, like who isn't a fan of that guy?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, mainly all of those guys. Looking forward to Arman Sarukian's fight against Damir this Saturday.
Mhm.
That's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he was going to bring because I
Yeah.
thought he was going to get the win against Gamrot, but it was an
Yes.
amazing fight. It was close. It's close.
Yeah. It was really close. I gotta go back and rewatch it. I was like, as soon as that fight finished, I'm like, this is a fight I gotta rewatch just to like learn like what they're doing because the techniques that they were showing was like really nice.
Yeah, and my like my stock raised so high for Gamrot, and I was surprised honestly to see Benil
Handle him
just do
kind
such
of.
a good job.
He just
Stuffed
shut him
every
down.
takedown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Neil's really good as well. Like I'm really excited to see his next fight. Hopefully it's against either Charles, Dustin, or Islam. I think he only deserves like a title eliminator at this point. I feel like, but Volk's
Oh
got the
yeah, I
title
agree.
shot, so it's weird. It's weird right now.
But I want to see Michael Chandler versus someone who's a heavy grappler. I want to see Michael Chandler versus Islam or Michael Chandler versus Benil for sure.
Versus Benil, yeah, that would be. Those are both good fights. I feel like they might just cancel out and just like bang it out on the feet.
Yeah.
That'd be exciting to watch. I feel like Benil could knock him out, but he'd be like a really big underdog. So I know who I'm betting on in verdict.
Mhm. What's your favorite UFC fight of all time?
Favorite UFC fight of all time. I gotta think. This might be recency bias, uh, but I think I'm gonna go with Yuri versus Glover purely because like a lot of my friends were over, like my old friends from San Diego before I moved to Temecula, and some of my friends from the Bay Area. They were over at my house. We were hanging out and watching that fight. Like there's 6 of us around the TV, just like all screaming.
Mhm.
So, like I think that would be like my top favorite fights, just because of like all the emotions that night. It
Oh
was
yeah,
really
that was a
fun.
good fight.
Yeah, just watching it live with all your friends and then seeing Glover jump guillotine in the fifth round.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go crazy.
What would you say a fight you watched that motivated you the most?
The fight that I watched. I wouldn't say it's like specific fights, but like um, I think some of Hamzat's fights, like seeing him just like go and just run through like a professional fighter, I'd
Oh
like
yeah.
watch that and just like get hyped, or like watch like just random MMA edits. Like I'm gonna shout out my boy Huncho MMA. I think you might have heard of him. Like I'd watch some of his like edits that he makes. His edits are so clean. I think he's gonna make me one of my fight, so it's gonna be
Mhm.
a nice edit. But I'd watch like one of his edits and then I just get like hella pumped up and then I just want to go in the gym and like try to do some of the stuff I see the guys doing.
Mhm.
So yeah.
And my last question for you is I want to know the UFC fight that you've watched that you just went absolutely crazy screaming. One that made you go crazy celebrating.
Uh, okay, I have one. I'm not gonna say Charles versus Islam because that's just cheating at that point. One fight that really made me go crazy, it was in 2021, I think, right? Dustin, the rematch with Dustin and Connor. like their second fight when Dustin knocked him out. It was just so just crazy to see.
Oh yeah.
Like, because everybody has held like Connor up, like even after like his reputation going down or whatever, because he's lost to Khabib and blah blah blah. Like seeing him get knocked out is just like still crazy. Like you just don't like it's. I don't know. It's just hard to believe because he's just been held like to such a high standard, especially as a striker. And like I remember everybody going into that fight saying Dustin or like Connor in 60 seconds or something like that, and then
Yeah.
seeing him get knocked out was just so crazy.
That
And
was
same
just,
with
yeah, it was so absolutely crazy. Like even when he was up against the fence, I just
yeah,
couldn't even
you're
see the
just
scenario.
yeah, you're just like, is this real? Like, am I watching this?
Mhm.
Another one was Leon and Usman. Like I was watching it,
Oh
and
my God.
I would see Usman fold like a lawn chair, and then I'd just like rewatch it again. I'm like, no way that just happened. It's just like some of these guys are just so good that when they lose, you're just so surprised. So those are my
Yeah.
two picks.
Like usually when I'm watching a UFC fight, I'm overly loud. Like I start yelling, I start going crazy. But that was
Yeah,
the only fight, Leon Edwards versus Usman, where I was just such in shock. My mouth was just open. Like I didn't even yell. I couldn't
yeah,
expect that. And I saw him fall in slow motion. It
yeah.
was crazy.
Your brain is just trying to process it. You're like, no way this actually happened. Especially like 55 seconds left in the fifth round. It was like, yeah, it's crazy.
It
Those are
also like
definitely my
it
two
made me
picks.
think it sucks how Herb Dean separated it because they were Kamaru Usman was up against the cage. If he wouldn't have separated it, he would have gone to that decision.
I don't even remember that. Why did they? There was it like
I
because of
mean, he was just
activity.
not. He wasn't doing that much on the cage, but he was holding against the cage. And then Herb Dean separated it, and like 40 seconds, a minute later, he got knocked out.
Hey, that's Herb Dean fault, bro. In the words of in the words of Derek Lewis, that's crazy. And
But
in the
I
first
mean, as
round,
far as hype goes, I like pre-fight. The most I've ever been excited to watch a fight was, I mean, Conor versus Habib. But I just remember Conor versus Gaethje. I mean, so sorry, Habib versus Gaethje. I was so hyped for that fight.
yeah, that was a crazy fight. I remember me, this one guy that I've wrestled against him like three times, once in middle school, twice in high school. Me and him made like a bet, and like we just sent each other paragraphs explaining why like uh, the guy that we were rooting for was gonna win. And he
Mhm.
was like, "All right, I bet you like 200 push-ups," and then I won the bet, so he did his push-ups. It was a crazy fight. I sent him like four paragraphs explaining why Khabib would win.
Against Gaethje.
Yeah, because he was
What,
backing up
what,
Gaethje.
what were some of his reasons?
But he just said, "Oh, I believe Gaethje can do it." I'm like, I
Oh.
wrote four paragraphs, and then he replies with like two sentences. I'm like, come on, man. He's a casual. Doesn't got to
Yeah.
worry about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
See you later.